In June of 632 CE, the city of Medina was paralyzed by grief. The Prophet Muhammad, the man who had unified the warring tribes of Arabia and brought a revolutionary message of monotheism, had passed away. But as his family prepared his body for burial, a different kind of tension was brewing just a few streets away. While the Prophet's cousin and son-in-law, Ali ibn Abi Talib, stayed by the Prophet's side, a group of community leaders gathered in a place called the Saqifa, a covered porch. They weren't just mourning, they were panicking. Muhammad had been both a spiritual messenger and a head of state. He left behind a massive, growing community, the umma, but no living male heir and no clear manual on how to pick the next leader. What happened in that room sparked a fire that has burned for 14 centuries. It wasn't originally about how to pray or what the Quran meant. It was a political argument about who should sit in the driver's seat. Today, we call this the Sunni-Shia divide. But to understand it, we have to stop looking at it as a religious war and start seeing it for what it was: a struggle for the soul and the survival of a new empire. The meeting at the Saqifa was the Big Bang of Islamic politics. On one side were the Ansar, the helpers from Medina, and on the other were the Muhajirun, the migrants from Mecca. Abu Bakr and Umar ibn al-Khattab, two of the Prophet's closest friends, rushed to the meeting. The atmosphere was thick with tribal rivalry. The Medinans wanted one of their own to lead. The Meccans argued that the rest of the Arab world would only respect a leader from the Quraysh, the Prophet's own tribe. Abu Bakr argued for shura, consultation. He believed the leader should be chosen based on their character, their closeness to the Prophet, and the consensus of the community. In his view, the leadership wasn't a divine inheritance, it was a job for the most capable statesman. Meanwhile, a smaller group believed the choice had already been made by God. They looked at Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali wasn't just the Prophet's cousin, he was his son-in-law, the first male to accept Islam and a legendary warrior. His supporters, the Shi'at Ali, the party of Ali, pointed to an event at a place called Ghadir Khumm. There, the Prophet had reportedly said, "Of whomsoever I am the leader, Mawla, Ali is also his leader." For the Proto-Shias, this was a clear divine appointment. For the Proto-Sunnis, Mawla just meant friend or beloved. In the end, Abu Bakr was elected as the first caliph, successor. Ali eventually pledged allegiance to him to keep the community from falling apart, but the seed of what could have been was planted. The first four leaders, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, are known to Sunnis as the Rashidun, or the rightly guided caliphs. This was a time of mind-blowing expansion. Within 25 years, the Islamic State had swallowed the Persian Empire and taken Egypt and the Levant from the Romans. The trouble started with the third caliph, Uthman. He was from the wealthy Umayyad clan. While he did great things, like creating the standardized version of the Quran we use today, he was accused of hiring too many of his own relatives for high-paying jobs. In 656 CE, angry rebels besieged Uthman's house and killed him while he was reading the Quran. This was a point of no return. The community's unity was shattered. Ali finally became caliph, but he inherited a house on fire. Muawiyah, the powerful governor of Syria and a relative of the murdered Uthman, refused to recognize Ali's authority until Uthman's killers were punished. This led to the first fitna, civil war. Imagine two massive Muslim armies, one led by the Prophet's cousin, Ali, and the other by his widow, Aisha, and companions, clashing at the Battle of the Camel. Ali won, but the wounds were deep. The real breaking point came at the Battle of Siffin in 657 CE. Ali's army was about to defeat Muawiyah's forces when Muawiyah's men did something clever. They tied pages of the Quran to their spears and called for arbitration. They were essentially saying, "Let God's book decide, not our swords." Ali, a man of principle, agreed to negotiate, but this decision backfired. The negotiators basically said Uthman was killed wrongfully, which made Muawiyah look like a hero and Ali look weak. A group of Ali's own soldiers were so angry he agreed to negotiate that they walked out on him. They were called the Kharijites, those who leave. They believed that judgment belongs to God alone, and that Ali had sinned by talking to a rebel. In 661 CE, while Ali was praying in a mosque in Kufa, a Kharijite assassin struck him with a poisoned sword. With Ali gone, Muawiyah took over, starting the Umayyad dynasty. The era of the rightly guided leaders was over. The era of kings had begun. If the Saqifa was the Big Bang, Karbala was the crucible. Muawiyah's son Yazid took power in 680 CE. He was widely seen as a tyrant. Hussein, the son of Ali and grandson of the Prophet, refused to bow to him. "A person like me does not pay allegiance to a person like him," he famously said. Hussein set out with a small group of 72 family members and friends to lead a revolt. They were intercepted at a place called Karbala by thousands of Yazid's soldiers. For 10 days they were cut off from water in the scorching desert. On the 10th day, Ashura, Hussein and his companions were slaughtered. For Sunnis, this was a tragic historical event. For Shias, it was a cosmic turning point. It turned Shiism from a political party into a faith centered on martyrdom, standing up to oppression, and the idea that the world is often a place where the wrong side wins temporarily, but the right side wins eternally. Over the next few centuries, these political differences hardened into religious ones. It's like a tree trunk that split. Over time, the two branches grew their own leaves and fruit. For Shias, the world can never be without a leader who is divinely protected from error. This leader is the Imam. They believe these Imams, starting with Ali, have a divine light, Nur, and are the only ones who truly understand the secret depths of the Quran. The largest group, who believe there were 12 Imams, called the Twelvers. The 12th one went into hiding, occultation, in 874 CE, and will return as the Mahdi to bring justice to the world. Sunnis believe the Prophet was the last person to have a direct line to God. After him, leadership is about following the Sunnah, the example of the Prophet. Instead of one infallible Imam, Sunnis rely on the ulama, scholars, who debate and interpret the law using consensus. The split was more about which king you paid taxes to. In the 11th century, the Sunni Abbasid Empire fought against the Shia Fatimid Empire, who built Cairo. This was a battle of soft power. Each side built massive universities and mosques to prove they were the true Muslims. In the 1500s, two superpowers emerged: the Ottomans, Sunni, based in Turkey, and the Safavids, Shia, based in Iran. The Safavid Shah decided to make Shiism the state religion to give his people a unique identity against the Ottomans. This created the map we see today, where Iran is the heart of the Shia world. Why is this still so intense today? It's not because people are arguing about what happened in 632 CE. It's because of modern power politics. When Ayatollah Khomeini took power in Iran, he didn't just want to lead Iran. He wanted to lead the Islamic world. This terrified the Saudi Arabian monarchy, which sees itself as the leader of the Sunni world. Since 1979, Saudi Arabia and Iran have engaged in a Cold War. They don't usually fight each other directly. Instead, they support opposite sides in other countries, like Yemen, Syria, and Lebanon. They use sectarian labels. He's a Shia heretic, or he's a Sunni extremist, to get people to fight for their geopolitical goals. When the US removed Saddam Hussein, a Sunni who ruled a Shia majority, it flipped Iraq from a Sunni-led country to a Shia-led one. This sent shockwaves through the region and fueled the rise of groups like ISIS, who used anti-Shia hatred to recruit followers. It is tempting to look at the news and think, Sunnis and Shias have been killing each other for 1,400 years. That is simply not true. For most of history, Sunnis and Shias lived in the same neighborhoods, shopped in the same markets, and intermarried. In many parts of the world, like Iraq or Lebanon, people would say, "I am a Muslim first," and the sect was just a family tradition. The divide becomes violent only when states fail or when politicians use religion to distract people from economic or social problems. When a government can't provide safety, people run to their tribe or their sect for protection. The Sunni-Shia divide is a story of how a single community, the umma, struggled with the very human problem of power. It is a story of how a political argument became a theological identity, and how that identity was eventually used by kings and presidents to build empires. Whether it is the Sunni focus on communal unity or the Shia focus on standing up for the oppressed, both branches are trying to answer the same question. How do we live a good life according to the message of the Prophet? Understanding this history doesn't just explain the news. It reminds us that the divide isn't a divine decree. It's a human story. And if humans built the walls between these two groups, humans have the power to build the bridges too.